start with another video.
I would really like Abraham to help me reflect on a highly contrasting experience so I can get the clarity and the empowerment from it. I was recently having a lot of breakthroughs and feeling my momentum going with more allowance and grace and ease, and then boom, I got robbed. And I chased these robbers down when they took my iPhone because I really wanted it back. And they actually caught up with them. They took me hostage and tied me up. And I thought, oh God, how do I get out of this? So I heard the message to just surrender, and I started to feel compassion and even love. And then I got the intuition when a parade went by that I could escape, and I did, into the crowd. And then a few days later, my iPhone even came back to me. So I've been reflecting ever since, like, wow, why did I create this? And what are the blessings in disguise?
Sometimes Esther remembers feeling this way early on in her relationship with us. She thought my connection to my Abraham family will help me get out of jams. And of course, it does. And really, when you think about it, you could say that every moment in time, with the contrasting nature of it, is giving you choices, some easier to pivot from than others. The dominant thing that we want to say to you from what you've offered here is that your point of attraction is far more aligned than not aligned. You're thinking on your feet, and there is something sort of exciting about thinking on your feet. It could be said that you were inspired to chase them. It could also be said that you were trending in the direction of wanting to be the law of attraction, so to speak, of taking matters into your own hands, action-oriented. In other words, this is a really good example of how you're in the middle of it and then you're dealing with what you're in the middle of. And life is a lot like that a lot of the time, and that's got to be all right. So a lot of people, we've talked about this before, they prefer having negative emotion to having no emotion because there's a lot of adventure and exhilaration, and sometimes it even feels like power in that. In other words, monuments are built to people who are heroes. Some years ago, there was a pilot who, once there was a bird strike on the engines, and he landed on the Hudson River. You probably know the story. And it was wonderful how he was able to land on a river and save all those people. No one was injured or hurt. That's one way to look at it, certainly. And as the story continued, he'd practiced just that thing. He'd rehearsed it. In other words, what to do under this situation, what to do under that situation. That's a lot of what the human experience is about, isn't it? And there's nothing wrong with being really good at getting yourselves out of jams. And maybe it's even fun to get into jams so that you can get yourself out of jams. So each of you gets to decide, and you don't have to decide forever and ever. You can decide for now. Do you like the adventure of getting into jams and then using your alignment or your wits or your cleverness to get out of them? Or do you want to use your focus to never get into a jam? These options are all there for you, and there is not one that is more right than another, really. Esther found that she was really good some years ago. The vehicles are different now. This is when the locks on the doors were on the top of the door by the window. Esther could take a wire hanger and help anybody unlock their car from the outside. And so good at it that she kept a hanger with her in the car. And there were days when she helped more than one person get their locked in keys out of the car. It was really fun to rescue them. And the more she did it, the more she did it, the more she did it, the more it happened. One day, Jerry said to her, I threw your hanger away because he could see that Esther was attracting people who needed to be helped out of this jam by her enthusiasm for being the rescuer. So it's all right to be the rescuer. We're not trying to talk you out of that. But maybe along with being the rescuer, you want to be the prepaver, the matcher to the path of lesser resistance. You know, the path of least resistance isn't just the path of least trouble, because the path of least resistance and the path of most allowance are the same path. So we could be saying the path of least resistance, meaning the path of escaping from a problem, or we could be saying the path of most allowance to the most adventure and fun in life experience. You see what we're getting at? Sometimes adventure is what you're looking for, and sometimes having a good rest is what you're looking for. And your life is ebbing and flowing, and it's all right, isn't it? You get to be the one who chooses all of that. So how do you justify someone going on tour and earning $1 million for a gig? How do you justify that or more? Your mind won't do it for you in the dollars per hour equation that you've trained yourself into. You have to step into another place. And so often you work against yourself by stepping into the place that says, well, they have an extraordinary talent that makes up the difference for them. Or they had an advantage that I don't have. They were born with that gift, or they inherited a launching pad. And we want you to know that you all inherited that launching pad. You all have access to the energy that creates worlds. And that you can play in either game, even both games if you want to, but you can't explain true allowing of what you want. How do you put a price on being inspired to get out of the car and escaping your captors, or on recovering from an illness that the doctor said no one could recover from, or there are no limits for you other than the limit of your ability to ask and your limit of your ability to let it in. If you decide that you're going to create in the realm where you ask and it is given, you have to give up your concern about how the people around you respond. Because a lot of people are really action-oriented. Even talking about our friend who is at work and happy in her work, and the people around her thinking that she doesn't care about her work because she's happy. That's the thing that you're wanting to reconcile in your mind. If we could convince you that you've asked and it is given, and that your joy will bring it in quickly, then manifestations will start popping into your life all over the place on all kinds of subjects. But if you're going to stay true to your old trending that you learned from somebody who wanted you to do something for them, and you are equating your getting from your doing rather than from your focus, then you can have a good life, of course. But you are often asking us how to ease your pain and overcome your struggle and help those obstacles get out of the way. How do I get from where I am to where I want to be? And what you want, friends, this group, you want big things. You want things that are bigger than action can take you to. You want things for your world. You want things that money can't buy. And you want money. And you can have it all. We're just saying,